Welcome to the Coaching Ignited podcast. I'm your host, Alex Povey. It's great to have you here. This show is all about peeling back the curtain on what's going to help you build the fitness business you truly want. And each week we bring on a new guest to share their stories, insights, and strategies so you too can take action and apply what you learn. The podcast is released every Wednesday on all the major platforms, including Spotify and iTunes. So make sure you go give that a subscribe, guys. Now, if you're a personal trainer in a commercial gym with 500 plus members and you want to fast track your income growth and learn how to sign multiple new clients a week, reach out to me personally through Facebook or Instagram and just drop me a private message so we can get the conversation started and see if you could be a good fit for one of our programs. All the links to my social can be found in the show notes so you can connect with me there. Now let's get into this week's episode. Enjoy the show. Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back. And today we're going to be diving into part one of a two-part series that I put together with my good friend, Rich Wellington. Rich does very much what I do when it comes to mentoring personal trainers. He helps with sales, marketing, and business optimization. And I really respect what he does and how he coaches his clients and personal trainers and fit pros. And he's been on the CI podcast before. I've been on his podcast, the Transformative Sales Podcast. And today we thought we'd put together a two-part series. So this is part one, and you can find the other part, which is going to be going live on his podcast in the coming weeks. Now, part one is all about the mindset of a successful personal trainer. So what type of mindset you need to cultivate in order to succeed in the fitness industry. And then part two, which we've already recorded and it's queued to go out, is how to deal with the fear of rejection. So how to deal with the fear of rejection when it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales, when it comes to business, increasing your prices, asking for money, selling your services, whatever it is. We really unpack the psychological aspect of the fear of rejection, which potentially is holding you back and does hold a lot of people back from growing their businesses. So make sure you go check that out on Rich's podcast, which you can find on all the major platforms. So let's get into this week's episode. We are live on the Coaching Ignited podcast and also live on Facebook with my good friend, Rich Wellington. Now, Rich, I like Rich because we're on the same vibe. We do the same thing. We mix in the same circles. And Rich is someone who I respect highly for what he does. And he genuinely cares about people. He genuinely cares about people. And I resonate with that because he, like me, likes to help as many people as possible with his skills, with his experience. So we're putting this together for you. He's been on the Coach Ignited podcast before. Can't even remember which episode it was now because we've done so many. But he's been on before. He's got his own podcast called the Sales. What is it? Remind me.
Don't fucking butcher it.
I'm bluffing it. Wait, no, the Sales Transformation podcast.
The Transformative Sales Podcast.
Close. Yeah. I was close.
Really?
I had the words, but the configuration was
I've got so much respect for this guy. What's his podcast again?
I just got called out by Rich live on Facebook. All right. So today we're going to be speaking about the mindset of a successful personal trainer. Now, I think we need to preface this, Rich, when it comes to a successful personal trainer, because that's kind of a loose word. It can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's start with that from your viewpoint. Like, what is your opinion of a successful personal trainer? What would that look like from your viewpoint?
So from me, I'm definitely going to come more from like an emotional standpoint, less the logical and the analytical, because that's just me as a person. So like, if someone tags themselves or labels themselves as a successful trainer, it's going to be someone that's in love with what they do and they're able to create the life that they want from being rewarded from doing the work that they love and helping and transforming those lives. So that's real simplicity for me. Further beyond that, success can come in many other different ways. You don't have to always make your living and your money just inside the fitness industry. You know, people once they've started to make some money inside the fitness industry, then go on to investing money into properties and opening up other businesses and things like that. But I guess, you know, top level, it'll be as long as you're in love with what you do and you're being rewarded so you can create a life that you really want and that you desire. Don't think it gets much better than that.
Yeah, I'd have to second that. And I was thinking about this over the weekend. We were having a little bit of a conversation off record before we jumped on the podcast, and I've been exploring some different things and really just trying to think about like why we're here, like what we're doing, why are we building these businesses. And from my viewpoint, success is basically being able to use your business as a mechanism to protect the quality of your life, but also like increase the quality of your life and the experiences that you can have in this world, right? So going on trips, doing charitable work, accomplishments, building a podcast, or helping people, helping personal trainers, impacting people's lives. And success also translates to creating wealth and income that gives you a resource to then leverage to do things that you want to do that make you happy, right? And so to me, success is when you've got all the things dialed in that are important, like your basic needs, your psychological needs, your physiological needs, and you're accomplishing things, but also you've got enough income to sustain yourself and do the things that you want to do. And that's really how I'd look at it. And I see a lot of people getting fixated on the Rolexes and the cars and the watches and the houses, and they're almost a prisoner to themselves in anticipation of feeling good when they get those things. And you can feel good about having all those things right now because that's just a choice. It's a choice to feel the way you feel. And so, like, my definition of success as well is basically programming the mind so that you're constantly grateful, happy, and you appreciate what you have now, but also you appreciate what you are going to get in the future too. And that's really my 2 cents.
Awesome. Yeah, totally. So it's like being present, you know, with what you're doing, I guess is, you know, one thing I heard from that. And like, you know, being in love with your work makes you present with what you do because then you're deeply attached to it, you know, and that love carries through. So I think, you know, a lot of personal trainers, some don't. There's a small percentage that are purely personal trainers just for monetary reasons. But I think the majority of the fitness industry is full of people that joined because they wanted to get away from what they were doing because they weren't in love with it. And they genuinely saw the benefits of being able to help people and change their lives. So we're full of an industry that most coaches are like heart on sleeve, you know, hey, you know, here's who I am, here's what I do, you know, I can change your life, you know, come and work with me. You know, they're just sort of very open and very honest, you know, about that fact, which I think is pretty fucking cool. So I totally resonate with that. But I guess when it comes to success, how other people might measure it, you know, the financial side of things, I think the mindset also needs to be attached to the fact that, you know, you do need, you know, the system side, you need the structure, you know, you need the approach of, you know, a system thinker, or at least elements of that, you know. And I guess that's, you know, a lot of like what you guys do, you know, Coaching Ignited, right? You bring a lot of systems into place that people can use.
So let's dive into the mindset then, the mindset of a successful personal trainer, because I think we've set the kind of parameters of what success means, and that will differ to everyone listening to this. To a lot of people, it is balance. To a lot of people, it's like maximum growth, impact, income, all those things. But no matter what you want to achieve, you need a certain mindset if you were to reach new levels, because you can't achieve new things if you're the same person. You've got to evolve, right? Because if you want something different, you've got to be a different person in order to acquire those things. Mm-hmm. And you've got to transform yourself and you've got to grow in certain areas. I can't go on.
Just the thing about like being a different person. I don't think it's about being a different person. I think sometimes it's like getting back in touch with who you were when you were a child. So it's more about like clearing the rubbish of what we thought we had to be, when in actual fact, what the world needs sometimes is more of that like childlike behaviour, an approach to life, applying a little bit more fun to things. I think sometimes people think they need to become this like higher level like entrepreneur that's like Sam Ovens all the time, some sort of fucking alien from a different planet, when in actual fact there's others that operate on a completely different plane. So sometimes I can sort of see there being a different person, when in actual fact the other times I'm like,
I like that you've got a different viewpoint. Like what you're talking about is tapping into like your playful side, your behaviors as a child, because those things allow you to be a certain way that you are saying is going to have a positive impact on the business. If you're more playful, you're more childlike, you're more loose, and anyone that knows you and has seen your content, we could describe you as that. You dick around a little bit, you're quite loose with your language, you swear, you've got a bit of a potty mouth sometimes, right? And you're not afraid to like use those terms and just be like yourself. So I get what you're saying, like you're very authentic versus pretending to be someone else.
Precisely.
Is that what you're getting at here?
And usually, do you know what the interesting thing is? There's a lot of us that, that become personal trainers because we're escaping like corporate life. And basically we've been boxed into a place where you have to be a certain someone and you have to wear a certain uniform and act a certain way. And then all of a sudden there's like this huge degree of freedom, where you can be yourself again. To a certain point for most people, being a personal trainer, until then maybe something happens and causes you to think a different way. But yeah, definitely. I think like not to take this off on a tangent too much, but like with sales, like those with kids will understand this. Like children are like the best salespeople ever.
It's because they don't fucking give up.
No, exactly.
That's why, and they don't take no for an answer. I don't have the privilege of having kids. You've got kids. So how many kids do you got? You got 4 kids?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, right now, he says, as he has plans to build out his tribe even further. But yeah, like talk about the nature of a child when it comes to sales.
Yeah, they're just like Harry, ice cream. Just look at me, ice cream. I'm like, you want an ice cream? Yes. And then he'll assume that he's closed me on the idea of an ice cream, and he'll grab my hand and he'll walk me to the door.
Huh. This is interesting, because I was actually taught this by a sales mentor. When I used to work in a company called Night Knox, we used to build, we used to work for developers. We used to sell off-plan investments for the developer, raise funds, sell them to investors. And this guy comes in quite early in my career, kind of like Wolf of Wall Street-esque, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he was a bit of a knob, to be honest. I'll be honest. Exactly. But he came in and there was something that stuck that you just mentioned then, which does actually work. And it's kind of like this mindset of just being assumptive. And he called it assumptive dismissive. Mm. And it's kind of what a child does, right?
Yeah.
What you just mentioned, your son doing, ice cream, and then grabs your hand and just takes you. He's being assumptive. Yeah. And then he's dismissing any of your reaction as to a no. He's just being assumptive and dismissive, and he's leading you the way you want to be, the way he wants to lead you. And that's kind of like an interesting way to look at it from a child's perspective, but it actually does work when it comes to sales.
It's cool because then like usually when we get like an objection, it's usually like the adult mind trying to, like creating like reasons for not to do something. Whereas a playful mind, a child's mind is like, but why can't we do this right now? This is really fun. We've got to do this, right? We've got to do this. So that's how I like to have conversations with people. When we're doing business, I try to keep everything in my life as fun as possible. My relationship, with kids, with Elaine, with the business, even like when the postman knocks on the door. I high five my postman.
Nice.
I opened the door this morning. I was on a coaching call at the time. I was like, be right back. Open the door. High five. Cheers for the post. Just, inject something else into other people's lives.
It's like jovial, right? It's just fun. Yeah. Like you said, the kid-like behavior. And I think that's like easier for parents. I'm not a parent, so I'm not exposed to kids probably in the same way as you. And I imagine like I can get quite serious and uptight because I'm not introduced to those playful behaviors as much as you're exposed to them, and you're almost being affected by their behavior in terms of how they behave. You're being affected by that, and it's probably making you more playful because you have to be playful with your kids. And so that's why
I don't have to be. You don't
have to be.
Yeah, sometimes they get locked away. Sometimes
he doesn't beat them. We're just going to caveat that.
Who doesn't?
He doesn't beat them.
Who doesn't?
Don't get into trouble. Don't get into trouble.
But seriously, like I've been like this like my whole life. Like how you guys like see me on my stuff and how you see me with Alex like right now. Like I've always. And I try and encourage people to do this a little bit, with themselves when I'm looking after them, is just look at the restrictions and rules that sometimes society's applied to things and question it. Is that really the best way of doing it? Is that like how we should be doing it? But that's like an ENFP trait as well, is to basically just look at rules and go, that needs bending. That's not the way we do it. Let's try it this way instead.
Yes. Something popped into my head when you were talking about like children, right? And we were talking about them being assumptive, dismissive. And I want to keep this on track in terms of like being a successful personal trainer. And you're talking about like societal norms and how society is. And as you grow up, you get these like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't have that. No, you can't come in here. And you kind of get like those no's over and over again. And it's almost like conditioning you to realize that there is rules, there's boundaries, there's things that you can't do. Mm-hmm. And it almost kind of like crushes you to a degree and makes you feel that a lot of things are not possible because you're so used to hearing no from everyone all the time. And you're being trained to abide by certain rules. And if we bring this back to just like being playful and being like a kid, there is really no rules when you're a kid at a certain age because you don't understand what rules are. Mm-hmm. And if there's no rules, then you're more inclined to test things, try things, ask for things, and you receive things, right? Like the ice cream that you mentioned. And I want to bring this back to like personal trainers and their mindset, because you've probably been conditioned so much into hearing no, 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 no. You're going to assume that you can't just go up and speak to people and chat to people. You can't just message people and build relationships. People are not going to buy from you. They're just going to say no. Like you're going to be conditioned to thinking that things don't work or most things are not going to happen, or you're going to hear a lot of no's because you're conditioned that way. But the successful personal trainer, we could argue, would try and train themselves the opposite way mentally in terms of, no, that's not true. It's just a hypothesis based on current exposure to society up until this point.
Yeah.
Right. Being conditioned with no's, but it's not true that that person over there on the gym floor is automatically going to say no to you, or someone's automatically not going to sign up to your training and say no to you. It's quite the opposite. If you were to put yourself out there and not care as much like a child and just go and ask and be assumptive and be dismissive.
Yeah, 100%. Like one thing that really stuck in my mind from being younger, my mum, she said it a few times, through my life. anytime where I've been worried about approaching a situation or a person or a group of people or something, she always just used to look at me and just say, nobody's better than you. Don't ever think that. We're all the same. So she used to like equalize everybody for me in my mind, and that's how it makes it really easy to approach certain situations, or like when I went and joined the military, I had no idea what that was going to be like. I had no idea. I had nobody previously who'd been in the family who'd been in the military or anything, but I was so confident going into it because I was like, well, all these other people have been through it. No one's better than me. And just create that sort of that flat line. So I went into it like, with my head up and like, hey, I'm going to enjoy this experience and what it's got to sort of give. And I guess a lot of that then going through the sort of the military and believing in myself even more, because that was the first time I really, did stuff for myself properly, without being in like the family home and having the support of, my mum, my stepdad and my brothers. By the time I'd come out of the other end of that really locked in place everything that I was really great at, and then how I was going to use that sort of moving forwards in my life. Again, holding on to that sort of childlike behavior, even in like the strictest of environments, the military, where basically if you fuck up, people die. You're not going to have a job anywhere else in the world where that's going to happen. So I was able to, use that. And actually, you'll probably find military people are probably more jovial than most because of the adverse conditions they're put under. And basically, you turn a dark situation into a fun situation pretty quickly. And that's how. And then I was like, you know what? If that can be applied there, hell, we can have fun 24/7 with whatever we do, and have like great energy all the time. And I know like some people aren't necessarily that sort of way out, and they don't want to operate like that, but when it's come to like the success of like, for my own fitness business, the rules I always operated by was, love everyone, respect everyone, have a great conversation with people, always be, pushing people to think like a different way about themselves and how they view themselves in the world. And, somebody's no might not actually mean no. It might mean something else, so you got to ask questions to get a little bit deeper on that. So that's my own experience, I guess, and my own sort of mindset towards success.
I want to dive into your days in the forces, because there'll be some valuable lessons in there that are applicable to building discipline, like you said, confidence, belief systems in yourself, which are all mindset things and things people should aspire to cultivate in order to be successful as a personal trainer, right? Like we need those boundaries as well. We need some kind of rules if we're to function. Otherwise, it's going to be chaotic if we're just acting like a child all the time. So there has to be balance of the two things, like yin and yang, right? So in terms of the forces, like tell us, what skills did you learn there from a behavioral perspective that have allowed you to go ahead and build fitness business and do what you do now and coach personal trainers?
Great. One thing that I actually discussed with my mum again, we were talking about how stringent everything was. And I actually said, well, actually now being through that and being in the military, I can actually tell you, because people talk about freedom. Freedom, I could do whatever I want. Actually, that's not freedom. That's chaos. Freedom actually comes when you've got structure and you've got order, because then you've got something to follow and you know where you're at and where your timings are. And then your creativity can actually grow more, because then you've got an understanding. Like right now in front of me on my laptop, I've got my Google Calendar open. And probably like yourself, I'm ruled by, the timings that are in there and what we do. Like I know what time we were on here for this and the calls I've had through the day, and when I do a live training and, when I speak with people. That for me, I know I just, 2 minutes until this happens. In between that time, my mind can go crazy and off in all sorts of different directions. So, the military was very much for me, straight away, day zero, everything's all about this timing here, and you have to be there 10 minutes before that timing. Then there's this timing here, and you have to be 10 minutes, before that. And there's preparation. You have to look a certain way and be dressed in a certain way. And it's getting you used to being in that that scheduled and organized manner. Some people won't look at it like that. They'll look at it like, fucking hell, you're being soldiered, sort of hardcore. But I found it really freeing, because previously, like in my own life, there was very little structure. My dad wasn't around when I was younger, and I lived in a really high feminine household, which is like that sort of energy is like this, right? It's up and down. It's not fixed like a masculine energy is. So for me, being able to go and experience the military, all of a sudden, I could sort of combine those two places, and I was like, this is the fucking magic number. This is exactly what I need. So I could take away the structure first of all, and then the other few things that I picked up from being in the military was, you get out what you fucking put in. So I got top awards, through basic training, through my trade training, top marks and everything. I thought I was stupid before I went into the military, but I actually came out with Microsoft certifications, Cisco certifications, you name it. I've got fucking awards for everything, right? And although previously I'd not done much schooling or got any GCSEs, but I'd been through there and been in that focused environment where people were just like, they told me, hey, you can fucking do this. I've seen your scores on this, and this. I believe in you. Just go in that room and smash it. By having someone that was genuinely on my side, because I was in the same club as them, I came out of there like, fuck me, I'm really intelligent. I didn't even fucking realize this. I thought I was stupid. So again, having that confidence, coming out of that experience, I knew straight away if I wanted to apply myself academically, I could do. But also in the same instance, I was like a great leader, outside of structure when chaos was actually in motion. I was able to have people feel safe and secure and, be someone that's looked up to straight away, if a situation sort of kicked off. So that really allowed me to understand where my leadership skills were, and that I'm naturally, great at having people sort of gravitate towards me, in problematic times. Bring me back on course if I'm veering.
Yeah, I want to dive into what you said about the discipline and the structure, because it's interesting because people always want to seek freedom, right? We want freedom to be able to do the things that we want to do, but also you need to have structure in order to create the freedom. Otherwise, everything just overlaps and you don't really have any freedoms because you're not able to switch off because you always feel like you need to be on if you're a business owner. Whereas if you segment your days out like you do, like I do, and you block specific items out that need completing, you can then spend some time in the evening guilt-free with your kids, or on the weekend, or go traveling, or go to the cinema, or go to Nando's, knowing that things have been taken care of because you had structure in place to make sure that you're still moving forward and you're hitting those key performance indicators and those income generating activities, and there's some order in your business. So I love what you said about that, because from a mindset perspective, if you don't want to feel overwhelmed, which is a very common problem when it comes to running personal training business or any business, then you need to have some discipline to put structure in, and then engineer some freedom time inside of that work week so that you can recharge, you can relax, you can see your family, you can see your partner, you can go on a date, you can go for a meal. And I think this isn't discussed enough. It's almost just business, clients, grow. I used to think like that. I used to think, hey, it's just, let's grind it out for 12 hours a day. Let's just grind and just do whatever you can in that space of time. But for me personally, the big shift for me, specifically last year and this year is just like engineering the downtime. And I found it so more important because then you're way more productive in those hours and in those slots that you're dedicating to maybe creating content, to doing a podcast, to doing sales calls or consultations if you're a personal trainer, or programming or building out things for your business. And so I never really liked the word balance, but now I get it.
Yeah.
I never really liked the word balance, but this is kind of one of the secrets that's not a secret, because there is no fucking secrets in anything. Everyone knows everything and you can access it all. But I am a big believer now in that balance mindset to a degree. Like, it's going to be heavily skewed towards business because I enjoy doing that. And if you're running your personal training business and you're listening to this and you love building it, great. Like, do what makes you happy, but also understand that there's certain things that you need to take care of as well, like your family, your relationships, your experiences, spirituality, maybe your health. And if any of those are being compromised in pursuit of building your business, then it will take a toll on your mindset. You could potentially burn out, and that's going to cost you business, client results, and growth in the long run anyway. It's a marathon, not a sprint, because we're going to be in the game for many, many years. So don't burn out in the process of trying to build something.
Yeah, exactly. I think, again, like, forced rest was something that, I picked up on pretty early, from being in the forces, and realised like why the women, like my mum and stuff that I've been exposed to being younger.
Your mum's getting a lot of airtime on this. I think
I love my mum.
That's the third time. What's your mum's name? Let's give her a shout out.
Debbie,
you're a gem. Brenda's giving her some kudos as well. She says you got a great mum.
Yeah, mum.
She brought you up well, man.
Women rule the world. That's my opinion. Everything is driven by female force.
They give birth to the world, that's for sure.
They give birth to the world. They've got the highest pain threshold, and basically they drive the thoughts and ears of the male leaders of the world. If that's not too far fetched, but that's what I believe and have experienced at least. But yeah, I love my mum, and she doesn't get enough credit for for what she's done for me and my brothers. That's for sure. So. But yeah, forced rest, definitely something that picked up on pretty early, really important, in the forces when you've got such a high physical output and mental output all the time. You would literally not be allowed to leave base. You'd literally be like, you stay in your barracks, you go out and eat, and you come back and lay back down again. And some of the guys would be like, oh, this is shit. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, they really care about us. I was like, this is class. Don't go anywhere. And the guys that did leave base, got in trouble. But then, I was able to apply those principles, into my own training and everything that I did, through my forces career. And then also, like, even now, in my personal training business, people come to me and be like, you need to rest more. And they're like, but, I want to train more. And I'm like, no, it's not about training more. You need to rest now. You need to go recover. You need to go sleep. You need to, have a wank and put yourself to bed.
Oh, he said it on the podcast.
Oh shit, I'm allowed to swear.
Hey, you can do whatever you want. I swear all the time. So I was just alluding to the masturbation comment.
Well, it's true.
Such a child, isn't he?
It's
childlike.
True.
He doesn't care.
It's true. Do you know? It's true that like sometimes I'll have one of my one-to-one guys turn up on a call. And I'm like, what's wrong? And they'll be like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like, what's going on in the personal life? And they'll tell me a little bit. And I'm like, right. I was like, this fucking call's useless. You need to go away and fucking sleep, toss off. You need to do something. But you need to fucking go away and change your state right now. Like, I can't. You're not going to listen to what I'm giving you right now. It's like you're not a sponge.
Yeah, let me dive in on that point, and let's just unpack that point. The state management piece. Like, why is that important? Why is it important for people to be in the right state of mind when you're working with them, when you're coaching them, when they're building their business? What's the downside if you just plow on and you don't have that rest time like we were saying?
Well, you can't learn anything new. So you go from being a sponge to a rock, basically. You just pour water over a rock and it just disappears. Yes, some rocks will soak up a little bit of moisture, you fucking geeks. But overall, it'll just run straight off like water off a duck's back. So people need to be in that open-minded, relaxed, fun place in order to learn new stuff and be able to go and apply it. If someone's in a really high stress situation, it's the worst time to teach them something new. High stress situations, you can only recall information that's been taught to you already, from times gone past. So you're acting instinctively on it, right? Like the forces, right? That's why there's repetition of what we do. So when the shit does hit the fan, you don't even think about it. You just go. You just put it gets cocked you on one knee, and you're pointing your rifle in the right direction. You're shouting the right words. And it's the same, with coaching. If someone comes in and they're stressed out, I'm like, you're fucking useless to me right now. You are not doing what I've told you to do. You need to go back to the barracks and watch some Netflix or do something else that's fun. And usually when I pick apart, why they're feeling like that, I'm like, right, what's your sleep been like? How much fun are you having? What's going on with the relationship, blah, blah, blah. And by the time we've broken it down, one of those like basic core needs is like missing or deficient, like what you were talking about before. They're not looking after themselves. They're not having fun. So, yeah.
And I just want to double up on this from a sales perspective, right? Because we both teach sales and marketing to our clients, to the personal trainers that we work with. And from a sales perspective, when you're in a bad state, when you're in a high stress state, very emotionally charged, it's actually a very bad place to be when it comes to sales, right? And seeing things clearly, because if you're like super stressed or emotionally charged in a situation, particularly in a sales process, you make emotional decisions and you get attached to the outcome. When you get attached to the outcome, like you miss things, you don't ask the right questions, you don't listen correctly because the emotions are clouding your judgment. And so naturally, your ability to convert people into paying customers diminishes when you're not in a good state. And it comes across, when you're uptight, you're really uptight and you're stressed. People can see that and they can feel it, and it's not a good frequency to emit, is it? So I always say to my guys when like they're feeling super stressed, they're feeling anxious, they're getting very emotionally charged, or they've had a couple of setbacks, I'm like, take some time out, take 30 minutes, go and hit a walk, go train, go and do something that's going to change your physiology and get you in a good spot, release some dopamine. Don't take drugs, but like take something that's going to like boost the way you feel, and then come back with a fresh head. Because like your emotions are very delicate things, and we need them to protect us from fear of death, loud noises, or potential dangers. But like if you want to be successful as a personal trainer, if you want to be successful in sales, you've got to learn to manage your emotions. You've got to be self-reflective and understand when they're creeping in and when they're potentially hurting your performance and your business. And then just take a step back, like Rich said, and come back later. Like give it some time, reset, because you'll do more harm than good a lot of the time if you just continue in those bad emotional states.
Yeah, precisely. It's like being on a range, a shooting range. So if someone starts getting emotional, they'll just stop. They'll stop them. They'll pull them out. There's no point. You can't. It's like with sales. You can't pull the trigger and be effective on target if you're just pulling with loads of emotion and you're just all over the place like this. Because then you're shooting up here and you're shooting into the sand of the back. Pointless. You might as well be, like a sniper. Once you get onto the range, with your sales. And what I mean by that is like being present again. So, like Alex says, change your physiology. So you're focused on that person, their problems, you're listening, you're seeing, you're smelling, you're tasting everything that's going on in that situation. So then you can deliver, the correct prescription, if that's what you want to call it, see yourself like a doctor.
Yeah.
If you went into a doctor's office and the doctor was crying, oh God, and he was like, swinging a cat around in the room, you wouldn't take bloody advice off him, would you? You'd be like,
no, exactly. If a doctor's pranging out and he's like stressed and he's like agitated, you'd be like, it would make you feel, it would make you feel uneasy, particularly when they're prescribing you medication, like something you're about to ingest. Like if the doctor's not very calm, relaxed, very methodical, he's doing his diagnosis, he's doing all the things he needs to do. If he's not in that state, then you're going to feel it and it's going to make you feel uneasy. And it's the same when you sat down with a personal training prospect, a potential client. If you're exhibiting those behaviors where you're stressed, you're pranging, you're like twitchy and you're nervous, and this could be like common with going through a sales process anyway, right? When you put too much pressure on yourself, or you get emotionally attached to the outcome instead of just trying to help someone and listening intently to the problem and just seeing if you can prescribe a solution. So like, you've got to be mindful. For me, this is something I've cultivated, and maybe you have yourself, because self-reflection, I feel, is a skill that you have to develop, because I think a lot of people don't take time to stop, take a step back and like reflect on how they're feeling, their actions, what they're doing in their business, their marketing, their sales process. And even when they do, they're not doing it in a methodical and strategic way. They'll just be doing it in their head, which is not very effective to identify problems or figure things out. You want to just get a pen and paper out, and this is something that I do. I start jotting things down, writing notes, journaling, expressing my thoughts. I do this thing called a weekly review, where every Sunday, and I give this to the clients that I work with, I do a review from top to bottom of the whole week. Top 3 things, top 3 wins. What did I struggle with the most? If I was to coach myself through this, what advice would I give myself? Where am I on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of my health, wealth, learning, happiness, gratitude, spirit, experiences? And I'm just looking at the data and looking at what's coming onto the paper and removing it from my head, and then I can address it. And this is something that I've been doing consistently for probably about 8 months now, every single Sunday, where I do that weekly review. And it's given me that skill, which, like anything, you can cultivate a skill of being self-reflective. And then from there, you can learn to master your emotions, or kind of be mindful about when they creep up and when they're hindering your progress as a business owner, and when you need to go, hey, Alex, you need to step back from the situation because you're getting a little bit emotionally charged. Come back in an hour or two. And it's just having that awareness, because you can coach yourself through a lot of these situations to perform better and be a better business owner and personal trainer.
100%.
Have you got any kind of like mindset tricks, rituals, processes, anything that you follow from business standpoint, or how do you show up the way you want to show up?
Do you know what, dude? It happens a little bit more organically for me. I've tried writing, I've tried having journals and stuff, whereas for us, we set up a house where we have tea together every night. We have a structure and an organisation on a morning where, I'm up at a certain time, and kids get taken to school and books get read and lunches are made the night before and things like that. I think thinking about it now, on a night time when we sit down and have tea together, that's like all our journaling and reflect, like our daily and weekly reflection right there, because everyone talks and we go around and we check in with everybody, and that's an opportunity when you sit there and we speak, through having our main meal and dessert, and then maybe we all go and sit in the front room and maybe the TV's on and stuff. So that's a real nice check-in. So if like Joe, 15-year-old, like he's super emotional. He's a Cancerian. Like he's driven by the moon. So he's always got like a bit of drama and a bit of emotion sort of going on. So we always sort of expect a little bit of that. So we have to ground him a little bit. And Sam, the eldest, he's a little bit more logical and a bit more analytical. So we address that, but also punch in a bit more emotion and tell him to stop being a robot so much. And we all just share like that because we're all such different characters. So I guess rather than actually sitting down and been on my own with it. I like doing it with other people. And I guess that's a lot like when I was growing up with, my mum, my stepdad, my two brothers, my nan. We had quite a big household again. I'm sort of used to being in that tribe environment of we all sit around the table and sort of beat the drum a little bit and what's been going on in everybody's days. And my stepdad would tell me about what's been going on at work because he was a policeman. And we talk about what's been happening in the shops because we had a family business and stuff. So it was always really interesting conversation. Then, I did that in the forces as well. I think that's really therapeutic, for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I'm seeing the differences between like you and I, because like you have got that circle of people, like your family around you that you live with. And so you can have almost like an open fire discussion, just like we used to do thousands of years ago, right? We'd sit around a fire, we'd share insights, problems, concerns, breakthroughs. And it's just like a nice place to just like put it all out there and share, right? So for me, I don't have that luxury. And maybe there's guys listening. I've got family, but I don't live with my family. It's me. And that's it, right? So yeah, I have to use what mechanisms I can to create that environment. And I see a lot of parallel.
I think as well, I think that's been the really nice thing about our friendship, and a few other guys that I've been talking to more recently where, we swap a couple of voice notes, every few days.
Yeah.
And there's that little bit of sort of, friendship and community sort of, created. Because I get it, like the online people watching now, like just purely online personal trainers. I think even to a certain extent, when you're a one-to-one PT, there's a degree of isolation because you spend a lot of time just like giving to others and never just been in a place where you can just sort of sit back and receive, or just recharge yourself. So yeah, I think our friendship has been really great for that, dude.
Yeah, generally speaking, Rich just sends me things like, "Hey, sexy," and and I send back compliments about how well his hair looks. As about the extent of our conversations is deep. It's deep.
It's very sexual.
Some big breakthroughs in the DMs. I joke.
But sometimes it's nice to just get a hair sexy. It's nice to get a hair handsome. I say that to people all the time.
It is. And just like drop a couple of GIFs here and there. Get creative with the GIFs. Yeah. So it takes, man, just a little bit of humor. That's what I'm grateful for with our relationship is you do bring some humor, which again is like that balance, right? I'm naturally quite a serious person when it comes to business. I'm like, grow, build. Let's do this, and this, project. But sometimes it's just like, you got to be a kid. You got to be a childlike. You've got to have fun. You've got to be jovial. And from a mindset perspective, that's kind of one of the ingredients that you want to sprinkle in there to keep your sanity as a personal trainer or a coach, because like you can feel isolated sometimes, even though you're surrounded by people. So you can feel isolated even though you're surrounded by people, because sometimes you can feel alone or on your own. But that's not true. There's always people that you can surround yourself with that can just keep you in the right frame of mind, because building a business is not fucking easy. And anyone that says it is lying to your face.
They don't like you.
They're bluffing you, right? Because it does take like work, effort, commitment. There's a lot of setbacks. People are not going to pay. People are not going to turn up. People are going to steal your clients. Like there's stuff that goes on that is going to try and knock you off course and set you back. So you've got to cultivate these relationships as well, like a support network, family or friends or confidants. Can we use that word?
Yeah.
Does that work? Do you like that one?
I do like that one. It's very nice.
To just bounce off.
Say it again.
Confidants. I feel like that's a word. I'm doing a lot of, I feel like it is a word. I'm reading a lot at the moment, so I'm picking up some new fancy words that I'm going to dazzle everyone with on the podcast.
Just go get my encyclopedia, my dictionary.
Just word check it. Yeah. Anyone who can confirm in the comments, confidant, let me know. Just make sure. I'm just looking at the comments. You just got a comment from one of my clients, actually, Jay Craft. Rich does have some great hair, he said.
Well, thank you, Jay Croft.
Everyone is dropping the comps on your hair because it is a very good hairline. I'm thinking of getting mine done. I'm thinking of getting some follicles inserted. And you know what I might ask from you? If you can send me over some headshots. So when I go to the clinic, I'll be like, I want a Rich Wellington.
Give me a big dick. No, I mean like this, like his face. A big dicky.
I want a Rich Wellington. It might be a thing. Maybe people use you as a model for their new hairlines.
You know, I used to...
Do you know when you go to like the hairdressers, you're like, I want a Beckham.
Yeah.
People go to like the transplant clinic and go, I want a Rich Wellington.
Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? I'd love that. You know, you go to some barbers and they've got like pictures of just like these random models on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you've ever been to a barber like that. I used to go to one in York and they basically just used to go, which one? You just pick a guy off the wall and they'd cut your hair sort of in the style of, you know, whatever this foreign person is on the wall and stuff, which is always
now we just turn up with mobiles of Beckhams and stuff. Yeah. I'm just conscious that I've got a client call in 1 minute. So our time has elapsed, man. This was fun. We could probably go on for hours just chatting back and forth, but we're going to do another show, right? We're going to dive into the fear of rejection.
Yeah, we'll do that over on mine. So for anyone watching that's, you know, over from my stuff, then we'll be over there. But it's really great to be on Alex's again. We need to do this more often, dude, because I think we've got a lot to say about a lot of stuff. For sure.
So before we wrap up, my friend, my good hairlined friend, for anyone listening on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, or any one of the 1,000 apps on the planet, who can't see us right now on Facebook, where can they find you if they wanted to learn more about Mr. Rich Wellington or find some photos of your hair?
Just Facebook, dude. Facebook or LinkedIn. Just search Rich Wellington. And usually my profile shot's just of me like big smiles and grinning away. The podcast is the Transformative Sales Podcast. And again, my face will be on there under my name of Rich Wellington. But yeah, if you're a PT and stuff and you want, you know, some great knowledge bombs every day of the week, obviously you're already following Alex if you're listening to this, but yeah, come and friend me as well. I'm pretty sure we'll get along mighty fine if you like Mr. Pervy.
Yes. All right, dude. Thank you so much for coming on and having a chat. And we'll wrap this up and then we'll dive onto your platform shortly and share some more content with the guys. Awesome. And girls, obviously.
Cheers, Mr. Pete.
All right. Oh, give my regards to Debbie.
I will. I'll say hello to my mum for you.
All right. See you in a
bit. See you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did enjoy it, I'd be really grateful if you could leave a short review on one of the platforms. And if you're a personal trainer in a commercial gym with 500 plus members and you want to fast track your income growth and learn how to sign multiple new clients a week, reach out to me personally through Facebook or Instagram and just drop me a private message so we can get the conversation started and see if you could be a good fit for one of our programs. All the links to my social can be found in the show notes so we can connect there. See you next week.